The Anime Tourism Problem by Joey Bizinger.
All right, fine. I'll talk about this. God damn it. So normally I wouldn't make this kind of video, but I guess it's been blowing up in my mentions recently, so I figured I would maybe give my 2 cents on the matter, even though there has already been a ton of people who have made their own interpretations on the whole thing. But as the title suggests, let's talk about tourists. And no, I don't mean tourists in the traditional sense of, people you see out and about exploring a country or anything like that. I mean tourists in the digital footprint sense, or more specifically in the subculture sense. People who are just visiting and checking it out, looking at it from the surface and maybe getting a different perspective on it than people who actually live or are a part of said location.
I just realized he has a Jirachi earring that's actually based.
The same thing can definitely be said for subcultures, and today we're going to be talking about the tourists of one particular subculture that I happen to have been a part of for quite a while now, anime. I think it's really nobody's surprise that, especially over, I would say, the past 5 years or so, basically ever since COVID happened and everyone was forced to stay inside, and a lot of people over COVID very much got into anime when maybe beforehand they didn't even have a split thought about it. And
I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's wild that people are so, like, the normies, quote unquote, are so accepting of anime. Because, I was watching Indigo League as a kid, right? In Pokemon Indigo League. I was watching the original Digimon, right? Like, I was watching things like Inuyasha on Adult Swim before school, right? Like, I remember going to California for a vacation for a cousin's wedding, and I distinctly remember because I was sunburnt just really badly and feeling sick, and we went into a hotel that was different than our current one because there was an issue with the current one, and that was the first time I saw Code Geass. It was episode 7 where Euphemia declares herself with the with Suzaku and the Lancelot fighting off like 3 Glasgow units, right, with Jeremiah, right? It was the pureblood coup d'etat, right? But yeah, people made fun of me for that. People made fun of me for being a Yu-Gi-Oh kid. People made fun of me for liking Naruto and finding meaning in things like, Naruto being a story about literal child soldiers and having just incredibly deep commentaries on friendship, the nature of war. And it blows my mind that we're I'm still not used to it. I'm still genuinely not used to, and I don't think it was necessarily the unnamed virus with specified origin, right? I don't even think it was necessarily that. I mean, I think that would have been a big one. Everyone's stuck inside, right? But even when I was finishing high school and going into the workforce in 2013, it wasn't that big. But then again, I also checked out for about 7-ish or so years because I was just nose to the grindstone working in rough jobs, right? I missed 7 years of my life. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I guess maybe 2020 does line up, or at least about 2018, 2019 or so. There's definitely been a surge in the social acceptability of anime, and I do think that it inherently does come with its problems as much as it comes with its benefits.
It was due to those extreme circumstances that we were all put into all over the world that a lot of people who previously didn't give a rat's ass about anime or Japanese animation of any sorts came out the other end being anime fans, or at least self-proclaimed anime fans.
Right.
These, ladies and gentlemen, are what we call anime tourists. Or I guess that's what the internet decided to call them, because I only just found out about this term maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's fucking hilarious. And especially over the COVID pandemic, and especially with the blow up of things like TikTok and short form media.
TikTok and short term media would also, yes, I was about to mention TikTok specifically. That would also help certain things get more of a reach. I can tell you I was lagging in my Final Fantasy XIV playthrough until I saw a short. I didn't see much of it. It was an edit, but it heavily implied that a certain character would get punched in the face by the end of the story. And then I immediately, just without knowing more information than I just locked in and blitzed the entirety of 2 expansions back to back. I didn't sleep that entire 2-week section of time. Well, I did. I napped, but sometimes that's all it takes to motivate people.
There has definitely been no ending of this surge of anime tourists who are invading our sanctity and our sanctuous place. And there is one particular video which I'm not going to give any attention to, and I'm not going to mention names because I've already used it in the thumbnail, and I'm sure most people are already aware of the situation. If you care to know what it is, then I'm sure somebody, or at least 20-something people in the comments have mentioned their names. But a particular video was...
I actually have no idea who this is. I'm gonna check the comments really quick. I don't see it offhand. Honestly, I don't even think I really care. All I know is that situation pretty foobar, it sounds like.
Sent to me. Not just, people who watch my stuff, but also personal friends of mine who are like, Joey, you're gonna have to see this video. And it was essentially very much a me-coded video. This is a video that you would have seen maybe on my main channel like 5-10 years ago or something like that, where it's essentially a video of a bunch of anime fans, at least self-proclaimed anime fans, who go and rank every single first episode of every popular anime from every single year.
This just sounds like content. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like a content mill sometimes. Like, I feel like I do React content, right? Well, then again, I guess I do it better than what people expect, because I constantly have people... it's on both sides, right? Because Lamau React channel, right? And I do more things, right? Because Indicip Gaming has like 500 videos, like episodic Let's Plays out, right? So I clearly do other things. But because I'm not doing like highly edited, like Russian Badger style works, I feel like I'm always constantly behind. But I don't think that's necessarily a fair standard to hold myself to. And even if I did his level of work, am I necessarily guaranteed metrics? No, you're not. The algorithm can just bury the video. Like... I don't know. I think I'm one to say... I feel like I'm cognizant of my position. I'm one to say things about, like, being a content mill, because I would feel very hypocritical, because I do feel like I content mill pretty hard. But, like... I don't know. Like... I feel like that's just throwing a bunch of stuff in a blender, and then just throwing it out there. But once again, I might necessarily want to talk. I don't know. I'm going to reserve further comment on that point, because I feel like I understand what it's trying to do. And while I necessarily don't agree with it, habitually, I've also said I am not your average YouTube watcher, if that makes sense, because I will sit through like Patrician TV's 7-hour Morrowind retrospective and like watch the entire thing and intake the information. I make very good use of my YouTube Premium. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's move on from that one.
I saw that video. I was like, damn, that's kind of a cool idea. I kind of wish I made that video back in the day, or maybe I can still make it today if you guys.
Once again, right there, like I'm clearly the odd one out in this situation. I'm not your when you look at me and content I watch, it is not what general people would watch. I actually watch very long and dry content.
Want. So I was curious, because it's not often that we get to see anime fans, or at least anime content creators in this platform, talk about the medium from that big of a spectrum. Most people are usually very quick to talking about the hot shows that are currently trending right now, or maybe shows that they grew up with, maybe from like the 2010s or the 2000s or the
TGS Anime doing dual retrospectives, someone like Swag Kage doing a bunch of Naruto and DBZ content, right? Like it also does pay to like shonen niche, or having a specific series in which you cover, right? Yeah, like YouTube channels have their box, that mentality.
90s or stuff like that. But it's very rare that we actually get to see people going through the entire lifetime of anime, at least in the popularity sense, or the popular sense of televised anime from, the 1960s or whatever.
Sure.
I've done a couple of videos like that in the past, as you guys have hopefully watched and liked. And, although I didn't grow up with the older stuff, I try to understand the significance and the history behind it, because the medium itself would be nothing without these giants whose shoulders all of these other shows have stood on. But
you've literally done more than most people out there by just doing that. By just trying to seek understanding and like empathizing and sympathize, like trying to just seek better understanding, you are already on the upper end of that bell curve. Like, it seems like a really like like common sense thing, it seems like a really like, well, yeah, that just makes sense, Fivehead. Like, but time and time again, we see that that's not the standard. Time and time again, people just want to like play revisionist to something, or like they're going to come in. It's like, you know, Kip, I hear you talk about this Legend of the Five Rings L5R setting and how it's very Japanese focused. And I did some research, and I think that Crane clan shouldn't be the best duelist. I think that Spider clan should have the best duelist because they're, you know, based in Shadowlands. And it's like, what are you predicating this off of? Like, did you read like Daigutsu Konpeki from Emperor Edition? Dude just breaks a dude over his knee. Like, is that what you came down to? Because even then, if we want to talk about actual dueling and setting versus just Crab Clan status Berserker breaking a dude over your knee, like, that's not the same thing, right? But, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I can see both sides of the argument, because I can see people coming in and then wanting to be like, oh, I think the Spider Clan is honestly pretty cool. And then, like, literally talk to a person on the dev team for L5R. It's super cool that, like, just had to have that had that conversation. Like, it was super cool. We spent an entire Oblivion episode on the gaming channel talking about it. Like, and how Spider Clan initially wouldn't have been a thing because one of the devs had arachnophobia. And it's like, I in Emperor Edition understood, like, yeah, no, Spider Clan exists. It's just kind of a conglomeration of like Shadowlands entities, kind of like under Imperial like clan status, right? But like, just seeking that understanding rather than like, imagine if I just said, well, you may have worked on L5R, you know, in clan war days, clan war status, right? But I don't agree that Spider Clan isn't a thing. And it's like, bro, who says that? Who starts a conversation like that? Who starts a conversation with like, yeah, I like Grey Knights from 40k, but I think they should use more like siege weapons like Knights or something like that. And it's like, you could literally talk about anything else. Talk about like how they used to have a psychic phase in the tabletop, right? Like, talk about the recent Terminus Decree thing, right? Like, why do you immediately start the conversation with, yeah, but we should change this, right? Like, I think reasonably across the spectrum, we can all just kind of get together, whatever niche interest we have, right? And kind of just say, like, that's not how you conversation. That's how you fish for an argument, right?
Man, this video, this fucking video, it was, not up to the standard that I was hoping for. Look,
Okay.
this isn't supposed to be some kind of like drama video, obviously. You know, I don't give a fuck about that kind of stuff, but I just find it really amusing as to just the visceral reaction that the online anime community had towards this video. Like, God, I don't think I've ever seen such a visceral reaction to an anime video in my 12 years of being an anituber. I thought I had some bad takes. I have been thwarted, and I had a lot of people being...
Dude, I feel that though. Like, I have a lot of L takes. But for some reason, people think I'm just like super like nice person or a good person. I don't understand it, bro. I feel I have like way too many L takes to really ever get that descriptor. But like, I mean, am I going to just tell someone that they're just wrong? Like, no, that's not how that works. Like, no, I can empathize.
Like, Joey, you gotta make a response video to it. You gotta make your own version of this video. You gotta come back and save Anitude, bro. And, you know, look, I respect that, and I appreciate all of those kind comments. So if you did, you know, on social media and stuff like that, kind of, you know, weirdly defend me in a weird way, even though I had nothing to do with this video,
I think the 40k equivalent of this would be like, if I made a video saying that Grey Knights are just like the worst faction. I don't know why I'm obsessed with Grey Knights right now. It's because I'm trying to avoid Custodies, that's why. Like, if I made a video saying Grey Knights are just the worst faction, and then like, I don't know, someone like Arch or whoever the current face of Warhammer is, right? Just comes out and has to feel like they need to defend against it. Like, I understand the reasoning here, right? Like, I understand that it's very much a video that is seen as very controversial and potentially even just aggressive, right? Is taking fire and taking aim and taking fire simultaneously, and kind of just treading all over someone's interests, someone's passions, and thus there is that seeming obligation for people to defend against this stance, right? I think part of it's online isms, right? Like internet isms of like, well, I must respond to this, right? But I think part of that is just, yeah, like you don't want something to get tread on, right? Like 40K setting, if I said Grey Knights of the Worst Faction, someone is going to reasonably take offense to that, and that's fine. For clarification, I don't care what you play. I don't care if you make I don't care if you have your Custodes army and name them the Golden Girls, right? Bro, literally so many better things to do with my time, right? And like, or like the Pokemon, or like Pokemon, right? Like if I said Ariados, which was just an awful design, full disclosure, I actually really love Ariados, but like someone's going to take offense to that. And it's not like it's like some weird, like, oh, well, I'm taking offense to take offense. It's like why? Like, why do you open up this conflict? Why would you open it up this way? And I think that people as a whole, as they progress, and as people will inevitably progress, because at a certain point, I do feel that people are going to be much more interested in education and positive discourse and intellectual debates. Right? I think that we could see a surge in that direction at some way, shape, or form. In some way, shape, or form. I think that a lot of that will start to resolve itself, and I think that people will start to notice when people are just trying to rage bait, right? Because that's a huge thing, right? Like, the fact that people can make an entire career off of either being incredibly rude, like going into a movie theater and, just being just absolutely obnoxious to people, doing quote unquote prank content and spraying insecticide on, produce, right? Oh, it's just a prank, bro. To just people knowing that if you put something Games Workshop goes woke, something buzzword, right? Like, and you see how that would get views, right? Like, we run into a fundamental problem because at that point, seeking arguments and deciding conflict is actually incentivized at that point. But that's a meta commentary on society, and I think well outside the confines of what we're discussing here today.
Thank you. But I think I want to use this opportunity instead to just kind of talk about the more broader underlying issue, the elephant in the room, if you will. Because anime tourism, or anime tourists, are a kind of a real thing. And, even though this may be the first time I'm talking about it in a long-form video like this, I have been kind of subtly talking about it, using my short-form content on, things like Instagram Reels and TikTok and stuff like that, which, if you missed that whole train, check this video, links in the description. There is a big reason why I, personally, kind of took a break from making anime content, and it was basically because of this very issue. Like, a lot of people think this whole anime tourism thing started only like recently, like I'm talking like a couple of years ago. No, it's this problem has been around for quite a while now. Yeah. As much as I think that, yes, it is a problem in a weird way, I do also think it's an inevitability. So to start with, why is it a problem? Why is anime tourism or anime tourists a problem? Well, it's a problem for a number of reasons. And I think the biggest one may have to do with the perspectives of those who have been in the anime community, the online anime community, for as long as it's been around. Basically, I would say since like the early 2000s, maybe the early 2010s, at least on YouTube and stuff like that. Because believe me, when I started the Anime Man channel back in 2013, there wasn't really an AniTube community. There wasn't really an anime community. There were, of course, yes, great AniTubers who came before me.
I think I used to watch, was it For Never World? I don't know what happened to him. I stopped following him a while ago, just because I just started watching just different content. I remember watching every time a new Naruto manga chapter came out. I mean, I would watch For Never World's breakdown on that. Like, it was very much there was content, don't get me wrong. I also come from the era of YouTube where, you could find anime on YouTube, part, 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, part 1 of 3 is up, and then it goes like 8 minutes long, and then you go to part 2 of 3 on a completely different channel. It looks like it's shot from like a phone camera, or some kind of camcorder looking at a laptop screen, and maybe there's like, Spanish subs on it, and then you find part 3 of 3 on the original channel. Like, YouTube used to be a wild place. Used to be wild, man. But I mean, like, there were channels, but like, not to the degree we really have now. And even then, it's a hyper competitive environment. I don't consume enough anime to really make a channel. And I can tell you reasons why. Code Geass is my favorite anime of all time. I can tell you why I choose to watch certain things. I can tell you why I like the themes presented in certain things like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Yu-Gi-Oh GX, right? But like, I mean, sure, I can find value. I don't know. I don't feel like I really have. It's not that I necessarily don't have a platform. It's just like the interest is kind of passing to me. I guess you could even call me a tourist because I haven't seen the greats. I still haven't seen FMA all the way through. I haven't seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I haven't seen Trigun. I haven't seen a lot of the greats. So I guess, I mean, yeah, I could be a tourist by definition. You know, yeah, I watched Indigo League when I was younger, never all the way through. I watched Yu-Gi-Oh when I was younger, once again due to scheduling, never all the way through because airing time, school, etc. Like, and then what constitutes a tourist, right? Me personally, I don't ever want to be affiliated with Warhammer in a fan capacity because my three golden rules, right? I have not read every single supplemental material, books, etc. I have not taken a large prestigious tournament like Worlds, right? And I also have not been around since first edition. Now, if you think that's way too harsh, if you think that, oh, those shouldn't be requirements at all. Sure, you're entitled to your opinion, as I'm entitled to my opinion. This also secures that I should never be considered a Warhammer fan. And I've had this and this is, I've had these, ad nauseum discussions, right? Look, respective, we just agree to disagree, respective differences. That is my own things that I set for myself. I think if we're talking about, anime, I think that being able to understand how kabuki theater influenced anime, I think being able to watch, some of the greats, whether it's Clownod, whether it's, Trigun, whether it's, I feel that should be in some way, shape, or form a requirement. But even then, I feel that that's too harsh, right? And ultimately, what other people do, if you picked up Warhammer one day ago and you're respectful going in to learn, like I did, right? Going in to learn, not to change, and you consider yourself a fan, go for it. If you've watched Sword Art Online Season 1, and you think yourself an anime fan, and you're going in respectfully in good faith to learn and not to change and be a problem, who am I to stop you from that, right? So I think a lot of the discourse does happen when we try to determine objectively what a tourist is, because, like, I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh tourist for all intents and purposes. Yeah, I've watched, the anime for however many years. I've only watched the dub, right? I've only watched Duel Monsters and GX, right? I still think I need to watch the entirety of the Waking the Dragons arc personally. I definitely have, in my lifetime, under 100 total, games played, right? Pretty sure that qualifies as tourist in a lot of people's books. But it's like, do you go in good faith? And I think that it comes down to the mentality and how you're willing to engage versus your, I guess, preconceived skill and merit on the subject. And I think that's a lot better of a discussion to have, right? Like, if you, I don't know, I've been a fan for 40 years and you're trying to disparage anyone new from coming into your sphere, I mean, sure, I don't think tourist is necessarily the most, objective term to use. I don't think that's a proper term to use. You're just kind of that guy. Nobody likes that guy, right? But if, you've just gotten to anime maybe, a day ago to 3 years ago, 5 years ago, right? And you're saying that the animation industry needs to change, that, the fan service tropes, boing boing physics are not necessarily, becoming of the medium. It's like, who are you to dictate that? Right? I don't know. Maybe I also just come from an era where I was just passionate to learn about things like Legend of the Five Rings, passionate to learn about things from Pokemon, like Pokemon stats, base stat totals, A groups, etc., right? Learn about things like problem-solving card text in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? How the card is literally broken down, right? I think that people are so intent on wanting to change the world to accommodate them that it really is becoming a detriment. Yes, things should be accommodating, right? And I mean, an easy one is making sure that flashing lights aren't super flashing. That way people, don't literally have an epileptic seizure just enjoying a game or enjoying an anime, right? Something in anime that literally happened with Electric Soldier Porygon with Pokemon, right? That's why we have certain tests nowadays, right? To make sure that the flashing is not as intense because, hospitalizing no small amount of children because of Porygon, yeah, definitely not a good look. But that is a reasonable accommodation. That is accommodating people to make sure to minimize the risk of epileptic seizures, right? That's actual accommodation. Now, if you think that, I don't know, Naruto and Sakura should have gotten together instead of, the pairings Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke, Sakura, right? And you're like, well, I want this to accommodate me because I feel that Sasuke is insert toxicity, toxicity paragraph here, and I think this would have been better. Okay, sure, go write about it on Wattpad. Go make a fanfic about it. Like, go away, right? I think that, yes, the intent to engage is absolutely a big factor in this across all forms of medium, whether it be Warhammer, whether it be anime, whether it be Legend of the Five Rings, whether it be like anything.
And who were around before I came onto the scene, and there was most certainly an anime community online on things like forums and stuff like that. But it wasn't so much a community as just like a gathering, because the medium was so still niche and especially new in the Western world, and especially on the online Western world, that there wasn't so much a community of sorts. And it wasn't really until I would say like mid-2010s that it really started to become this like...
Yeah, no, I could agree with this, because I feel like things like Sky 7 Anime were a thing at that time, a now defunct website, right? But I definitely feel like this was definitely one of those, like, yeah, like... From my limited experience, the time frames here do match up very well with what I've experienced.
Community, if you will. Because before then, it was very common in the real world, and I was a big victim of this, that if you came out and said that you liked these Japanese cartoons, you
get bullied.
Would just be bullied for it.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. It's wild to me that this is like... And that's the thing, like, to clarify, I'm not saying we should bully people again. Like, as much as I've made a couple arguments in regards to, like, normalized bullying, that is a very specific argument that I have to root out very problematic behaviors, right? Like, if somebody says, don't come to school tomorrow, right? Wink, wink. And it's like, okay, go away, right? Like, there should be reasonable things to deal with this. And I think across the spectrum, we can all really agree on that, right? Like, that's pretty agreeable. That's pretty, like, reasonable, right? Obviously, very heavy topic. I'm going to kind of cut that there, right? But it's just one of those things where, like, bro, like, I got bullied for liking Yu-Gi-Oh! I got bullied for liking Naruto. Like, when did this become normal to like anime? Like, that's the thing I genuinely still cannot get over. Like, I still am having trouble adjusting to that, because yeah, there was a time in very recent memory in which, like, I got bullied for liking Yu-Gi-Oh! Once again, like, bullying shouldn't reasonably happen. We should be resolving our differences. We should be, dealing with things, communicating, right? Rooting out problematic behaviors, right? Like, building each other up, right? Like, I don't know. Then you hear some just dumb stuff that's said, like, and you're just like, bro, like, getting bullied in high school literally rooted out these kind of behaviors. Like, from an official standpoint, I will never condone is the wrong word. I will never say to bully, right? Like, that should never be taken in as a good faith license to bully people, as much as it would fix some issues. Like, I in good faith, I cannot say that. As someone who was bullied, as somebody who understands, right? There needs to be ways to root out some problematic behavior, absolutely. But we can move beyond, people being just awful to each other. We do have the ability and capability to do it. It just takes effort.
Oh, you like these weird Japanese cartoons with, like, your anime schoolgirls and blah, 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 blah. I mean, trust me, I was there. I got bullied for it in school, not only being the only remotely Asian kid in my school, but the only kid really who knew about this weird and wonderful world of Japanese cartoons. And so imagine...
It is so hard, and it was so hard to have conversations about, like, I've talked about Code Geass, it being my favorite anime. And yes, I watched Rose of the Recapture. I actually like some of the themes presented. I think that the 3D Nightmare bits were just awful. I hate that stuff, dude. Like, I hate it. Like, I grew up on, like, Pokemon 2000, right? Mewtwo Strikes Back, right? Like, I actually liked the hand-drawn stuff. And Code Geass still did have, like, hand-drawn nightmares, did it not? In R1, R2. But now it's all, like, this 3D stuff. And I'm like, oh, I hate it, dude. I can't stand it personally. But obviously hand-drawn is going to be more expensive, and that's why a lot of things, a lot of businesses, studios have moved away from it. Like, but how, like, literally in Code Geass, right? You deal with colonization, right? Britannia coming over and completely just overrunning Japan and making it Area 11, right? You deal with societal pressures, right? Nina, in the dub specifically, there was like, come out of the closet already, Nina, right? Like you're already dealing with social pressures and expectations, right? Nina and the table, right? That poor table, right? Like, being a societal outcast and having to conform with society, but being someone else deep down and trying to relieve yourself, pun intended, to just continue existing, right? To survive. You're not necessarily thriving as much as you're surviving under society's like scrutiny, right? You talk about just blatant racism in Code Geass. Oh, you filthy 11s, and it's like, no, we're Japanese, right? Like so many complex themes, right? That you would see in, big budget TV productions and stuff like that. Like this anime, Code Geass, explores it, right? And like the concepts of immortality, the concept of a good action forced upon. I literally unironically used this in a discussion recently. The concept of a good action forced upon other people being no different than an evil action, right? And we have all of these, morals and dilemmas and controversies that we can explore in a arguably safe space, right? Because it's not like you're living in anime, right? It's not like you're living under Britannian occupation, right? Like you can explore these concepts and, see where you fall in line, right? As I age more and more, I become more like Charles E. Britannia, definitely authoritarian in certain aspects, but like that's mostly from a like trying to be left alone standpoint and like, look, I don't really care what other people do. Just don't be dumb. Just don't drag me into it. And then people are dumb and then they drag me into it. And then I have an issue with that. Right? But then you can reflect like that, right? Someone like Charles E. Britannia, definitely more authoritarian emperor figure, right? Very much uncaring of anything else other than his own ambitions, right? Marion and Charles abandoning Lelouch and Nunnally, right? There's so much you could draw from that, and even compare and contrast yourself to the characters, right? Like, not saying you're going to be super edgy, Itachi Uchiha, Sasuke Uchiha, right? But you can explore the family dynamic of literally having the closest person to you, your brother, just ganking your entire clan and saying that, when you have the same eyes as I do, come before me then, and then you may defeat me, right? And being reminded and traumatized. Was it after the tuning arc? I actually didn't see original Naruto all the way through. I know what happens actually, but I don't know how it all pieces together. But when Itachi comes in to remind Danzo that he's still around, and Sasuke Chidori's the wall to try to get to him, and Itachi still bodies him, which then prompts Jiraiya to summon a toad, right? Like, and you hear these things. If you have no idea what I'm talking, if you never watched anime, you're like, wow, that sounds really nerdy, dude. This sounds like something you'd be bullied in high school for. That's the point. But we can explore a lot of these things. Guilty Crown as well. The best description. We actually reacted to a video about it a long time ago. I think I had my old model at that time, my 1.0 Catboy model. But like how Guilty Crown is Code Geass, except like someone like Rivel got the power, and it then explores a different solution at that point, right? And like you can explore these concepts and how different parallels happen in storytelling, and sure, maybe appreciate some fan service on the side, right? What's the word? Infant Stratos, is that the one? Wasn't Sora no ear, Mizuno ear. What is that? What is it called? It was the one with the flying Ponzu. The very famous clip. Like they're like migrating like birds. That's what I'm trying to think of. I think it's Infinite Stratos. I could be wrong though. But yeah, have some funny fan service on the side. But it allows you to explore these in a safe setting. And I feel that I'm a more well-rounded individual for, contemplating things presented in anime like Code Geass. Things presented in things like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, where you have the Light of Destruction, which is a force of evil, as light is generally seen as synonymous with good. Gentle darkness, right? Not necessarily the portrayal we think of when we think about darkness, right? Like, it leads you to think about things that I think a lot of other people don't. And there's something special about that. But I think as more and more people, I wouldn't even necessarily blame the normies, as more and more people get into it, and I feel misunderstand the medium and try to impose themselves on the medium, I think, we are running into issues with this.
Imagine my shock when, over the COVID pandemic, especially, and even a little bit before then as well, I'd say ever since the rise of TikTok, all of a sudden, those kids who were definitely at school bullying those kids who loved watching anime, then turned around and went, hey, you know what? Anime is actually kind of cool because
yeah, dude, I still can't get used to it. Like, he's actually on the money. Like, exactly how I feel.
Let me tell you, you kids today, I don't want to sound like an unk straight off the bat, but you kids today have got it fucking easy. We ran so that you guys could walk.
Yeah.
Now you don't get bullied for liking anime. You get bullied for liking the wrong anime. Can you imagine the amount of privilege that comes with? But all jokes aside, you know, there is most certainly now, because anime has become so much more of a mainstream thing and so much more of a hip and cool thing and an okay thing to enjoy, there is certainly now a new group of people who previously, again, did not even want to say the word anime out loud, but you know, didn't take the medium all that seriously. And then now, because of things like shorts content and because of the COVID pandemic pushing everybody inside for years and years, and basically people getting so bored to the point where they're like, all right, fine, let me give this anime thing a go, and then ending up enjoying it, it created a bunch of anime fans. And let me just say right off the bat, I don't think that being an anime tourist is necessarily all a bad thing. I think everybody went through that phase at least once in their life. I think when back in like the early 2000s and stuff like that, or like the 2010s, if you started getting into the anime community and stuff like that, I think everybody at one point was an anime tourist.
Yeah, hear me out. Hot take. I don't even think it's necessarily bad to be a tourist. Once again, it's a mentality thing, right? Like, I don't think it should be expectation for everyone to go ham into something, right? Like, everything I just described with Code Geass, right? Someone could look at that and watch. I actually really love watching it on a yearly basis because it's a hard watch sometimes, but like, it's interesting to see how my worldview stacks up to when I first initially watched it and then last watched it, right? It's interesting to see how my view on society has changed. And just like if I get more out of the series or not. But it's like, do I necessarily need to have the entire understanding of, well, I was gonna say like the entire nature system from Naruto, but technically that does benefit you to know. Do you need to necessarily know the deep ins and outs of certain stories, right? Like Comfort. Do you need to know the deep lore of like Comfort? Do you need to know the deep lore of like Sword Art Online, or can you just watch it as funny MMO anime? I've only seen up through Gun Gale. No, I saw Gun Gale. After that, I really didn't. Just kind of fell out of favor. Just never really got around to watching the rest of it. Or like Negima, right? And yeah, like there's things you can do to explore it. You know, funny wizard dude, funny harem, right? I guess Negima, the manga, I guess, used to be darker. We talk about manga and anime a lot. High School DxD, I can never watch. Like, I know, it's like fan service, but like, I hear that the light novel is just so much better that I can never ever watch High School DxD because I have the understanding that the visual novel is just better. But if you enjoy it, that's fine, right? And that's the thing, right? Even if you're like, I just enjoy High School DxD because funny fan service, right? That's fine. You have the ability to do that. It's your mentality, right? And I think when we start keeping track of literally someone who's talked about skill and merit and how that relates to things like, firearms and stuff, right? Like, when you start gatekeeping, when you start saying you must have you must know what the barrel twist rate is on your firearm to have an opinion. Wow, you've walled out so many people. Grats. I hold myself to these standards, don't get me wrong. But what other people do, that's just being a dick, right? That's just being just a nuisance, annoyance, right? Just this, like, acknowledging you see the flaw in this logic, right? Like, I'm saying the words and the logic makes sense because, like, as long as you're being respectful, you don't have to know the ins and outs. And it also opens up conversations in regards to, so why does Obito really have issues? I mean, was he just simping over Rin? Like, what was the issue here? Then you open up conversations about, okay, I mean, Obito sacrificed himself, themes of sacrifice, seeing Kakashi as the one to actually gank Rin, right? And sure, yes, he had personal feelings, but that kind of awoken his anger at the world, and that's actually why this gets into my own personal headcanon about the Mangekyo using its yin-yang release inherent to the Sharingan because it can't actually go to the Rinnegan because it's missing the Senju DNA, where it actually grants effectively a wish where Sasuke yearns to be like his brother and to have control. Thus you get Inferno style, right, Kagutsuchi, right, where he can manipulate the Amaterasu flames, or you get Madara, who I think just gets an amp. You get someone like Shisui who gets Kodo Amatsukami to be able to tell somebody, to really manipulate people, right, to doing a certain thing. And then you get Obito, who, you know, wants to be separate from the world, getting something like, I almost said limbo, that's the incorrect word, like Kamui, right, where he can phase in and out of reality and go to his pocket dimension, right? But like, me able to formulate why I have this headcanon, you don't need to know. You don't really need to. You can enjoy the series as funny ninja doing ninja magic at each other, right? And then suddenly aliens, right? You can just enjoy that. And that's fine, as long as you're being respectful, as long as you're not trying to impose yourself and be a problem.
But we didn't call them anime tourists. We called them weeaboos. It's like kind of the same thing, if you think about it. It's just like, now it sounds less like a slur.
Yeah,
What is a weeaboo? A weeaboo is essentially just somebody who is non-Japanese, who loves anime so much to the point where they think they understand everything about
Some of them also wish they were Japanese.
Japan and Japanese culture and Japanese subculture, but in reality they are completely misguided and base all of their information off of fictional Japanese cartoons. And they create their entire personality around that so that they could fit in with a niche and fit in with who they think they actually are.
Dude, we all knew an XX Sasuke underscore Uchiha 69XX on Xbox, right? Like, bro, that's the level we're talking about.
It kind of sounds like an anime tourist. You know, it's essentially the same thing. But here is where I would differentiate a weeaboo from an anime tourist. And this is purely just my personal definition, so if you think otherwise, I'd love to know down in the comments, alright? I think the biggest difference between an anime tourist and a weeaboo is that anime tourists think that their opinion on anime is more correct than everybody else. What do I mean by that? Well, I think that a lot of these, like, anime tourists very much, you know, again, started watching anime over the pandemic and therefore have only really been exposed to, let's say, the past 5, maybe give or take 10 years of anime. And don't get me wrong, in the 10 years of anime since 2015, anime has certainly changed. You know, the type of shows that get big have changed, the quality has fucking increased, and there have been a lot of merits to the evolution of anime in the past 10 years. But
I think it's similar to the video game argument that I give, though, because while the animation quality has increased in a lot of ways, like, look at the Fate Grand Order. Oh, what is it called? I always forget the name of this. Give me a second to actually search it up. Someone's gonna know what I'm talking about. The FGO.
I think at the same time, anything that falls outside of the...
Oops, sorry about that. I'm in another window, and it actually retained that for some reason. I don't know why it did that. Sorry about that. No, FGO trailer. Oh my god, what is it called? Yeah, the Memorial Movie 2023. Oh my god, it has been 2 years, hasn't it? Like, the animation quality on something like this is absolutely phenomenal. I tried reacting to it once upon a time. I know Asmongold did, but it definitely got the copyright bonk from that. Honestly, really good, though. And, like, I think everything throughout this, from what very little I understand of Fate, characters like the first Hassan looked good. Oh my god, I always forget Roman dude. I always forget his name. I'm never gonna remember his name. But point being, and someone can, you know, explain Fate more to me. We've tried doing it in the past. I actually need to honestly go through Alexander the Great. Wow, that took me a minute to find. The dude representative of India, I never remember. I love seeing that we have, like, Musashi front and center, right? As somebody who has a copy of 5 Rings and needs to finish the last 2, because the first 3 were banger. Musashi knows what he's talking about. Let's put it that way. Like, the animation quality is increased in some ways, but the animation quality, like, sometimes the quality decreases as well. Like, explained with the Code Geass Rose of the Recapture. When you have the funny Uwu Nightmare, right, Knights of the Round, doing her Uwu poses and shit, that stuff just makes my brain hurt. Like, that's stuff that I don't really vibe with. Or if, like, animation gets repeated and it looks cheap, right? We've progressed in certain ways, but regressed in others. I'm very much still a fan. My bias is towards, like, Pokemon 2000, like, hand-drawn animation, right? I'm very much a fan of that. Yeah, and just the media we get is also different as well, right? Like, you have to understand, like, back in the day, like, you know, we had, sure, the big 3, well, I guess big 4, right? Dragon Ball, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. You know, we had those, and we had, like, Full Metal Alchemist, and we had, like, Trigun. We didn't have, like, insert things here, right? Insert like litany of things. And even then you started getting cross-drawn with something like Fruits Basket, which I understand when it actually came out to how the story actually ended up was very, very good. Or in High Host Club, right? A lot of people love that. I found enjoyment in it. I need to watch it again. Because I don't think I actually finished it. But like Black Butler. A lot of people like Black Butler. But we also were very condensed in the titles we had, especially prior to like 2007, I want to say. Because, yeah, anime was kind of this scary thing for a long time. Remember, Sailor Moon had to censor Uranus. Was it Saturn and Uranus's relationship by claiming that they were like cousins? Which then prompts the question, why is it socially acceptable to have romantic involvement with your cousins in the English censorship than showcase a lesbian couple? That brings up some questions that I feel we need to ask ourselves. Why was it okay that they were made cousins? Let's put it that way. Or like the 4Kids like Ghost Stories dub. Well, no, sorry, 4Kids. Like the Ghost Stories dub as well. And then you know, get into like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you get the Shadow Realm because it's censoring certain things, and Dark Magician Girl, certain occult imagery, especially on Black Illusion Ritual, right? Stuff like that gets censored, right? And reasonably so for certain audiences, right? Then you have things like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which kind of goes super campy into it. Like Professor Banner at like the start of like episode 3 in the dub just makes a Palpatine reference. He's like, you know, something about like the, you know how Palpatine goes like, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Not a story the Jedi would tell you. The dark side of the Force leads to things that people consider unnatural. And Professor Banner's VA just dead ass is just like, dual alchemy leads to so many abilities that some may consider unnatural. And I'm like, bro, like, this actually is a straight W. Like, this is a W. Sure, they'd like censored like what sake into like hot sauce, sure. But for every one of those, you had some baller like Big Lebowski like or sorry, a Little Belowski, right? He has some Little Belowski, like, because it's playing on the actual movie, talking about like the man and how uniforms are just a symbol and a constraint by society. And I'm like, bro, this is actually amazing. But that showcases, even from the censorship standpoint alone, right? That anime used to be this big, scary unknown. And I mean, can you really blame people, especially when you're coming off the things? Literally talking about Heaven's Gate last night on stream, actually, playing Silent Hill 2. Things like that, and the satanic panic of the 80s, right? And you see how you can line these things up, and then, you know, the introduction of some new foreign anime cartoon thing, right? As many people would call it. Like, and you start to see lines get connected and why certain things happened and why we didn't have access to a lot of things. I mean, there's many commentaries you can draw from this. I mean, I can only cram so much into literally 47 minutes into 12 minutes. Let's put it that way. I'm absolutely taking an L today on this one. But like, in terms of just length and commenting and pausing alone, good God, I'm talking a lot. But like, I feel there's a lot of good information to consider with this though. And I think that like, to understand things, like you have to ask questions. Why did we not have as many anime as we do nowadays? Why are we seeing certain changes with animes? Why are we seeing dramas with localizers trying to change Japanese subs into certain commentaries when it goes into the dub? Why are they trying to change it certain ways, right? Why, Kip, do you have certain opinions about anime where other people don't necessarily think about these things, right? Like asking why and trying to explain it is a huge one.
Time, anything that falls outside of the scope of the past 10 years, and anything that falls outside of the scope of how they think anime is and how they think anime should be, is deemed as wrong or incorrect. And I think that's why you get a lot of these like newer anime fans now who hype up these current shows, you know, these like big shonen shows, you know, like Solo Leveling or Attack on Titan or Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that, and think that every anime that should be praised needs to fall under that same exact umbrella.
But that's the thing, is that you can't, that homogenizes a medium, right? Like, do we not see this in Hollywood? Like watching Critical Drinker, right? Sure, don't get me wrong, he's got his biases. We all have our biases, right? And what he tries to point out is kind of the absurdity in a lot of things of like strong female protagonist and the message and strong female protagonist gets with other strong female protagonist love interest, right? And like how it's broken down and kind of homogenized. Like reasonably, no one cares if people are represented. Like, and I mean that in a good way, right? Like, yeah, let's get more black actors. Where's my overworked, salaried Asian businessman representation? Where is my drunk Scottish woman representation, right? I mean, we can talk about that all day. I think you can run with concepts like this and make very compelling characters and very compelling stories, right? Like, that's not the issue. The issue is when mediums become very homogenized and it feels like you're having some sort of messaging just crammed down your throat. And that's what people have an issue with. Certain anime nowadays, you know, certain like isekai animes, like I'm indifferent. I don't care about isekai if I'm being honest, right? Like, but it's one of those where like I actually struggle to differentiate different anime from each other. And I think that's a problem for me. Like, I'm also very picky with my things, and this is also why I've said that I struggle with React content in certain aspects, because like discovering something like TF2, where other React channels can probably discover it, look at Meet the Team, and then move on, right? Like, no, I find something of value here, right? Like, I find something of genuine value, and I go and play, and I like to learn and understand about how positioning as engineer is super important, right? And be able to engage with it, right? And it's the exact same thing with anime, right? You, anime studio, have to sell me a product, right? Why am I going to watch a new Isekai vending machine anime, which I hear is honestly really good, by the way. I'm not digging. I'm jabbing at it, right? It's like, why would I watch that? Why should I watch that? Sell me on the product. Because, yeah, it takes me a while to watch new things. Guilty Crown was something that I just kind of, like, on a offhand, one-off, like, sure, I'll watch the first episode, and was like, wow, okay, this is... I liked it. The soundtrack was definitely where a lot of the budget went on that one. BIOS is great. But, like, there's a number of things you can draw here, and I think that homogenizing a medium, and even we see this in gaming as well, when someone like Moist Critical talks about a standard open-world Ubisoft game, you know exactly what he's talking about. That's a problem. That means you've stagnated. That means that creativity is being stifled. That means that, companies are playing it incredibly safe, and the medium is becoming homogenized. That is a problem. So when Breath of the Wild boots up, and I remember the first time I saw it, you climb the tower, and it's the Far Cry mechanic. Bro, I almost like put my Switch down. Because I played it first on the Switch. I could not believe that they just were like, yeah, let's just Far Cry this. Blows my mind. Yeah, and things should be different. Things that's like asking something like Ouran High Host Club and Inuyasha and Negima and I'm trying to think of other things offhand. Is Panty and Stalking JP? I think that falls as anime, right? I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. I think it's Japanese. It depends if it's like K-pop, how K-pop has to be an export of Korea itself. First Date, directed by question mark? I'm not relying on Google on that one. Japanese anime television series. So I guess, yeah, it's produced by Gainax. So I think that, yeah, it would technically classify as anime since it is an export of Japan, if I understand that correctly. Like, but should they, or like Fooly Cooly, FLCL, right? Should they all have the same, like, design, the same morals, the same themes? I think that right homogenizes the medium. I think that stifles creativity. I think you start running into the issues we do in many other entertainment sectors, and that becomes a problem. Anime is still consistently an art medium for what I've found. I just have to dig for some good ones.
That's like listening to a rock band and thinking that all music needs to sound like rock music for it to constitute as...
All music should sound like Queen. All rap music should sound like Watsky, right? That, you see how asinine the statement is?
Music. Which is ridiculous for me to even say out loud.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, not only has anime evolved over the past 10, even 5 years, but, if you go back to, like, 2000s anime, or 90s anime, or 80s, or 70s, or 60s anime, the art and the medium has evolved vastly. Just like how Led Zeppelin sounds completely different to, say, Muse, just as a broad example, right? It doesn't justify the fact that Led Zeppelin is no longer relevant or it's crap or it falls outside of music. That's what these anime tourists, at least from what I have seen online, claim.
I think that's a problem. If you want to watch Gundam mech anime, go watch Gundam mech anime. Don't go into something like, I was gonna say FLCL, but that's probably not a good comparison. Neither is Gurren Lagann. Like, if you want to watch like actual mech anime, Don't go into something like, I don't know, Dead Man Wonderland and expecting a mech anime or expecting the same things. They're each trying to tell their own stories. Something which, once again, Dead Man Wonderland, I hear just the manga was just infinitely better. And they even never really gave it a season 2, which I was really depressed about because I thought it was actually really good. I remember when that aired, right, on American TV, Toonami, right? Like, this literally is like the same argument I make when people like complain that I pause too much and react too much and yap too much, right? Because on one hand, at this point, I'm kind of like in that vindictive mindset of I kind of want to redefine react content, of actually having people stop and think about, wait a minute, maybe we should actually pause and talk. And he is trying to redefine a standard, if not maybe the standard, right? Like he's trying to redefine what people think about react content in a degree, right? Sure, the metrics are hard to work with, especially because attention spans and stuff like that, and also because like people, this isn't what your standard React content is like, right? But it's the same argument I give of people who just want to watch the original video and watch me go, and like add maybe 5 minutes. Bro, you're going to Wendy's and complaining they don't have tacos, right? You're going to KFC and complaining they don't have like potato salad, right? Go somewhere that has potato salad, right? If you want to watch funny mech anime, go watch funny mech anime. If you want something, rom-com status, right? Go watch something like, I'm gonna pick on Orin High Host Club again, right? Like, go watch that. Like, don't sit there watching like Gundam and then complaining that, wow, this needs a lot more like humor into this, right? This needs a lot more lighthearted moments, like, maybe something like FLCL, or something like, oh, we need some Orin I Host Club clips. Just go watch the other thing. But that only goes so far as well, because there is valid criticism to have with that as well, such as this video alone is already going to garner controversy in what I do, because like, we're 13 minutes into this video and I've yapped for 56 minutes, right? This is a big one, right? But I mean, to be fair, it's also one of those that like, this is a Patreon submission, so I'm like, whatever, I just write off the metrics, like 200 views, whatever. I don't really care at that point, because it's like, this is literally just Patreon submission. That's fine. Like the cost, in my opinion, has already been met. I will do this. But like, yeah, there is valid criticism. Say, if I were to pause this and just talk about L5R for 30 minutes, Legend of the Five Rings, like I've talked about it throughout, right? But if I talked about, like, I don't know, maybe like the Second Day of Thunder by Ishikachiko's role in Fu Lang's Resurrection, right? Like, if I were to talk about things like that, maybe Anvil of Blow, get Second Battle Beaten Pass in there, bro, like, Kip, can you keep it on target, please? Can you keep on subject? That's valid criticism. And I acknowledge that that's valid criticism. Like, keeping on topic, absolutely. And I think there is absolutely valid criticism, me pausing and commenting way too much on this specific video. However, I will also posit that if you want to watch the original video, please just watch the original video in the description. Links down below, right? So it's balancing what is genuine criticism and what is not genuine criticism, right? What's disingenuous. You have to juggle what the intent is. If the intent is, you're pausing too much. Let's just say it's used in two situations, right? So you're pausing too much. Why am I pausing too much? You have to ask that question. Is the complaint in situation A is going to be because they just want to watch, something that's 5 minutes more, okay? Not valid criticism, go watch the original video. If the criticism is, as you expand it, and it goes, the criticism is because you are pausing too much and you're trying to make points. Some of the points that you actually reference past points you've made, therefore padding out the runtime of this video using redundant points where you already explained it in the first section you paused. Okay, now we're talking. Now you have provided the why, right? And that's the difference, right? So how this really relates into the discussion at hand, right, is you want one thing, right? And you really should be able to pause it and explain why you think that thing, and do so in good faith, right? Like, if you want a military drama, yeah, go watch something like Gundam. But if you go to something like, I don't know, Naruto, and you don't like some of the magic-y bits about that, it's like, okay, but is this the story, is this what the story's trying to tell us, right? And yeah, it is trying to tell you a story about ninjas and ninja magic, and referencing things like the tale of Jiraiya the Gallant, right? Getting a lot of Japanese mythos in there. I mean, I called Izanami when Izanagi was revealed. There's going to be a second eye power, it's going to be called Izanami. Bam, lo and behold, it literally happens, right? Like, and there's something cool about it. You ingratiate yourself, that you engross yourself in it, you learn about it, right? And you can still have criticism. You can say, man, this has a lot of filler in this. Or, Obito's motivations seem pretty shallow. This ends up seeming like, Obito's kind of a plank of wood and he feels like he has wasted potential. But if you can explain that, grats, you're already on the upper end of that bell curve, right? And I hope this reiterates, like, asking the questions why and being able to explain in good faith why you think a certain thing is going to put you so far ahead of other people.
I think that they have entered this space and gone and looked around and gone, hey, everything that is like not epic fights and shonen and amazing animation and hype doesn't fall under what I constitute as a good anime. Therefore, it must be bad. I don't remember where I saw it.
That's subjective. People don't like shoujo. People don't like shonen. People don't like certain anime tags, right? Like, that is all subjective, and I think that should be, like, and absolutely, I'm not saying you have to like Code Geass. I'm not saying you have to like Naruto, right? You're not saying I have to like Dragon Ball. Oh, people imply I have to like Dragon Ball Z. Let's be real. I've never really watched it. I'm sure I'll like it. I'm sure I'll love it when I see it, when I actually engage with Dragon Ball, but it's something I've never really dealt with, personally. But there's subjectivity in that, right? Where someone could prefer Dragon Ball Z over Dragon Ball GT. I think I still think, as much as people would say that's objective, I think that is subjective, because a lot of people did find enjoyment in GT, as I understand how it's kind of odd in canon and how people enjoy Dragon Ball. So maybe that's a bad one. Like, you can love Gundam, but maybe not like Gurren Lagann. Or you can like Naruto, but not like other shonen anime, like Sword Art, right? Like, there's some subjectivity into it, and like forcing everybody to like the same thing, I think, is incredibly disingenuous. People will gravitate more often than not to things that actually perform well. There's a reason things like Bleach, Naruto, Dragon Ball, and One Piece perform well, right? There are reasons for that, and there are reasons people like it. But you're not obligated to like that. And I think understanding the freedom of that, like, you're free to like or dislike what you do and don't want to, I think can be freeing and liberating for a lot of people.
But I remember seeing a comment on like a TikTok or a YouTube video or something where somebody called these anime tourists or at least this new rise or era of anime tourists as the Columbus era of anime. Much like Christopher Columbus,
right?
Who went to the Americas, mistook it for India, and called the natives now a term that I'm not allowed to say anymore, and claimed the land for themselves because he was like, well, I discovered it, and fuck all of you guys. This is my place now. And I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what these anime tourists are doing. They're like coming to these unfamiliar lands, planting their flag in the soil, and going, we own this land now. Out of the way, previous people. Your opinion.
And that's a problem. This is 100% a problem. And if anyone does this, regardless of the fan base, like, L5R, Legend of the Five Rings, doesn't really exist anymore. Sure, like I said, Fantasy Flight does still own the IP from what I understand. But it's like, imagine if there was a wave of interest because, I don't know, some dingus on the internet just talks about L5R all the time. And people read like Bayushi Kachiko's L5R wiki entry, right? And then a bunch of people just start being like, we're going to make another clan. And it's like, okay, but what is this? And like, well, we're super legit clan, we're very graceful, and we do everything prim and proper. Bro, you're just Crane Clan. Come on now. Engage with the source material. Oh my god. You're just trying to make Crane Clan 2 Boogaloo. Well, we want to be Merchant Clan, and we want to we're dealing primarily in taxes and mercantile trade and stuff like that. We want to make sure, we're definitely keeping thing above board when it comes to dealing with the other clans. You're just the Yasuki, formerly Crane Clan, now Crab Clan. Come on now, right? Like, but that's the thing, is like, insert your own fandom here, whether that's Warhammer and people coming in and trying to say, well, I don't like this about, Space Marines, or I don't like this about Custodes, something, insert talking points here. Insert whatever your interest is, right? Anyone coming in and being disingenuous and just trying to disrespect the media and try to just shape it to their own whim, that's why fanfic exists. Kindly go away. Like, just scream into your own echo chamber and void on whatever weird fanfic you're gonna write, right? Not saying that all fanfic is weird, right? Like, there's some good stuff out there. But yeah, no, universally, I think we can all agree that this is pretty bad behavior.
are irrelevant now because you are old and your time is up and you don't know what good anime is anymore. But at the
Right.
same time they claim all of this, they don't respect the history of the medium, they don't respect how the evolution has happened, they don't respect the cultural significance behind the evolution of the medium. They just look at it as something like cool and pop and fun and a good way to get the attraction of the huzz. Yes, I did
The
die
what?
a little inside saying that out loud. And you know what?
What did you just say to me? What Riz vocabulary is this? Man's got that Riz. I'll go see myself out now. I'll go put myself in my timeout corner.
I'm thinking about all this and sitting here and talking about it and being like, shit. Am I the problem? Like, have I just turned into such an unk now that I can't accept the fact that the online anime community has changed and the ethos of it has been replaced by these new and fresh faces and these darn kids nowadays coming to take over the land that we once held the flag on? You know,
I kind of get him though. I can empathize with this. I regularly ask myself, like, am I just old? Am I just senile and jaded? Am I just born in the wrong era? I do think that one too. I think I was definitely born in the wrong era.
I don't know, because I'm sure there's a couple of people in the comments who are saying that exact thing, being like, huh, all right, Unk, you don't even watch anime anymore. Well, you know what? Maybe there's a fucking reason for that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because the way that I see the anime community now is not the same anime community that I was a part of and I grew up with. And I'm sorry if that makes me out to be an Unk, but trust me, kids, you will feel this in about 5-10 years from now.
Oh, sorry.
Whether you like it or not. Now,
But I feel this though. I think there's validity to that, right? You know, yes, it's boomer back in my day, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, but there was genuinely a difference, right? Back in someone's day, right? You could work a job in the US and then work there for 40 years and get like a pension, right? People can't really do that anymore, right? Like that's a thing, right? You know, back in someone's day, yeah, back in my day, I mean, yeah, anime wasn't as widespread, and it felt like the stuff that I did engage with just felt higher quality, and that there was an artistic flow to it. Back in my day, when it comes to gaming, you know, picking up something like Resident Evil 4 on the Wii, and you know, knowing how Boundary Break doing stuff on, you know, like Out of Bounds and stuff, how the game actually works, right? Games did a lot with way less than we have today, right? So that, in my opinion, is a valid back in my day, right? Where it's like, when it's so diametrically opposed to things we have nowadays, even if the media is the same, whether it be anime, whether it be game, whether it be movies, right? Like, there are things that are just objectively better. And once again, it comes down to how you're engaging, right? He's engaging in back in my day, you know, anime was just different and there was a different feel to it, right? And I feel he's engaging in good faith because he's explaining what we've been talking about this entire video, right? Like, that's a good faith argument being made, right? If I was just going to go, back in my day, we got bullied for watching anime and y'all should get bullied, right? No, that's engaging in bad faith at that point. That's not fair. That's not reasonable.
in saying all of this, there is, in my opinion, one positive thing that came out of this influx of anime tourists. And it's the fact that it really made the anime industry take itself a lot more seriously. Because we wouldn't have nearly as many anime movies, like big budget, big screen anime films. We wouldn't nearly have as high of an animation quality and production quality as we do now. We nearly wouldn't have as many just shows being made,
right,
if it wasn't for this new influx of this demographic that was previously uninterested in the medium.
That's a
Regardless
double-edged sword,
of how
though.
you like to view anime today and how quote-unquote mainstream it has gotten, I think as an anime fan, we like to see the medium evolve. We like to see the medium get better in terms of just quality. Like,
No, he's correct. I think it's weird that, you know, coming from an era where I got bullied for watching anime. Yeah, no, I think it's weird. But it's also like, yeah, like it opens up things for more people. More people can experience some of the things that I did, right? And I personally grew up watching Gundam 00, right? I mean, this was like my high school era, don't get me wrong, right? And there's people who watch Mobile Fighter G Gundam. That's going to be a fun one to watch. That's going to be wild. There's a reason I don't think that can get remade, because stereotypes. Funny. But like, yeah, then we got, you know, things like Gundam Unicorn, which I think was kind of mixed. I don't remember what actual public sentiment was on that, but a lot of people loved IBO. A lot of people love Iron Blooded Orphans, and I think Witch of Mercury, right, as well. Like, a lot of people loved that. So I mean, even just taking it from a single series, right? People who grow up with original Mobile Suit Gundam, right? Going into things like Z, Double Zeta, right? Going into Turn A, which in itself, some people like, some people didn't like. Being able to see a take on a more current conflict, because each of those are kind of based on conflicts, right? Mobile Suit Gundam definitely more World War II focused, right? But going into wars in the Middle East, going into Gundam 00, right? And that being a thing. And whatever, I don't think IBO was tied directly to something. I literally have people I can talk to this about. I'd have to double check with them. But we want to see things improve. We want to see things get better. Absolutely, we 100% do. We all want to watch that next really cool anime, right? Whatever Code Geass's next project is after Rose the Recapture. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it at some point. I'm gonna go back and watch. I think Reign of Darkness was a manga specifically. But Akito the Exiled, right? I'll go watch that, right? We want to see things get better, and it's so cool to see legacy characters like Suzaku Kururugi in just better animation quality, right? I say legacy specifically in reference to Code Geass, right? Or I don't know, insert 90s anime here, like Inuyasha, right? And being able to see Sesshomaru and stunning 4K HD, right? We want to see stuff like that. And it might be jarring for certain things, like seeing, base Naruto, like Kid Naruto status and modern art style is kind of jarring in a way. But I don't know. We want to. He's absolutely correct. I agree with everything he's saying here.
Regardless of whether you don't like One Piece, or you don't like JJK, or you don't like Solo Leveling, or you don't like all of these big mainstream shows that are getting these movies now, you can't deny that a lot of these shows look absolutely fucking gorgeous. I've only seen clips of the new Demon Slayer movie that is out in cinemas right now, and it's fucking astonishing how good this fucking movie looks. It's almost making me consider going to go watch it, even though I didn't even finish season 2. A couple of days from now, the new Chainsaw Man movie is coming out, and I didn't think that they would be able to get better at the animation from the anime series, but just from the trailer, yeah, it looks freaking incredible. We would not have anything like this if it wasn't for these anime tourists. If anime was still just as niche of a thing in Japan, or especially in the West, we wouldn't be getting shows like this. We would probably still be stuck in early 2000s quality, which, I have a soft spot for, don't get me wrong. That was my freaking childhood. But at the same time, I can also recognize that a lot of the shows don't look that great and haven't really aged all that well. And you know what? In a weird way, this kind of influx of anime tourists has also kind of taken me out of retirement. Again, I mentioned this in my previous video where I talked about Reels, or, the fact that I started making more short-form content revolving around anime. These, I guess, quote-unquote anime tourists, if you will, that I have seen on things like TikTok and Instagram, have almost inspired me to start talking about anime again, because, my god, I thought I had some bad takes on anime. It almost inspires the bully in me to be like, hey, you know what? I feel like I need to teach these kids what actual anime criticism and opinions are all about.
Oh, 100%. I mean, to be fair, for full disclosure, him saying Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, and Chainsaw Man, I have 0 point of reference. I am absolutely a boomer then, because I have no idea what any of this is. I've heard the names. I could not tell you what these were about. Bro, I'm so lost. I'm still stuck on Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. You have to understand. I'm grandpa here with the cane. But I mean, and everyone's entitled to an opinion, but if you're just, it sounds like the source material for this video, which, I mean, clearly it was bad enough that he doesn't want to platform it or acknowledge it, right? Sounds like it was bad. Yeah, at that point, I totally feel that of just I've watched videos where I've watched people and they've provided some really odd takes on something, and I'm I mean, it's the whole reason I started React content to begin with. Watching someone like Asmongold, watching someone like Charlie, Moist Critical, right? Watching other people, and they're just they're pausing every maybe 3 times a video and maybe adding something. And it's but I could provide more insight. I know I can provide more insight. We are an hour and 13 minutes, 70 minutes into this reaction, right? Clearly I have things that I can articulate and say and communicate, right? And that's was cool, I guess I'll just do this then, right? And thus, do it as a job now at this point. But yeah, no, I mean, I totally see that where it's because you have the history. He has the ability to go, all right, let's actually talk about this. These reviews, right? Let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about, these things. Let's actually have a discussion on this. And I'm all for that.
It's so fucking funny to me, the amount of people, every time I upload like an anime related short or an anime related TikTok, or, I comment on the video that inspired me to make this video, just the amount of people either like apologizing to me, being like, we owe this man an apology, or the fact that people are like, I don't know, genuinely excited for me to come back to talking about anime and stuff like that. Look, at the end of the day, what am I trying to say here? Am I trying to say that, hey, go out there and bully all the anime tourists off the platform, or that, anime tourism has ruined the sanctity of Japanese cartoons? No, I'm not.
I mean, if that's what you got out of this video, you might want to go rewatch the video. Because that's not what's being said.
I'm not really saying any of that at all. I think, if anything, if you are an anime fan who is not an anime tourist, and you're saying all this thing about like, get all the anime tourists out of here and stuff like that, I just don't think, you should take them all that seriously. I personally have been having a lot of fun just kind of roasting anime tourists and, just kind of in a funny way making fun of them for their bad takes. Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. They're just opinions. And yeah, some people might be like, oh, but if you have a big following online, then you have some responsibility to,
yes and no,
give the right information, blah, blah, blah. But
I mean, there's certain videos I won't react to. Definitely not. Especially if a certain subject material it covers. There are certain things that I will not talk about, regardless of if I have a big platform or not, right? Just, you can still choose to not.
At the end of the day, they're all just opinions, man. Yeah. If you want to believe that Solo Leveling is the next coming of Jesus, or you want to believe that Astro Boy is the greatest anime ever created,
sure,
that's cool, dude. You can feel that way. That's totally valid. But what these anime tourists need to realize, that as valid as it is to have opinions like that, you're also not free from any criticism either. So look, I'm not going to drag on this video much longer. All I'm going to say is this.
Oh boy, I dragged on this video.
If there are any people watching this video who identify as an anime tourist, or as someone who maybe got into anime over the COVID pandemic, I'm first of all going to say, welcome.
I mean, I would consider myself a tourist as things previously, right? Like, literally, like, watched no more than 25 different anime titles, right? I didn't even finish Elfen Lied. I just couldn't do it. Like, the material, right? I couldn't do some of the material in there. But like, bro, once again, tourist is also subjective. It's fine to be a quote unquote tourist. Are you engaging in good faith? Yes or no? If you're engaging in good faith, the people who say all tourists need to go can kindly just get bent. You are like not, if you're not engaging in good faith, you do open yourself up to criticism. Code Geass is a, insert buzzword, bad series 0 out of 10. And it's like, take some issue with that. I'm gonna take some issue if it's said that there's no redeeming qualities about Code Geass as a show. I would definitely take some issue with that. But would I engage with that? Probably not. Probably just go play something like TF2 or Warframe, if I'm being completely honest.
Thing you will come to learn very quickly is that the anime community, the online anime community, are the biggest bunch of unforgiving dickheads on the internet.
Yeah,
but at the same time, don't take it all that seriously, okay? Just chill. Take your time with exploring the medium, and I think most importantly, come to appreciate the medium for what it is.
Right.
Even though you personally may not agree with all of the different aspects that make anime, for example, all of these like high school romances, or these questionable ages that some of these characters have, or some of the fact that, I don't know, older anime are maybe boring to you, or anything like that. Just try to understand and try to appreciate the culture and the subculture for what it is. Because regardless of whether it goes against what you morally believe is correct or superior, it ain't gonna change for you. You are just one person who watches Japanese cartoons going against 70 years of history that was created by a bunch of Japanese people back in the 60s. Just enjoy those shows for what they are, And if you have opinions on some of them, I say, don't be afraid to express them. Because you know what? Everyone started off as an anime tourist.
Yeah.
It's just that anime tourists back in the day were self-aware enough to maybe, I don't know, take a little bit of time to actually explore the medium before expressing their opinions about it online.
And that's the thing, right? This literally couples with, why do you have that opinion? Do you think Code Geass is the worst anime ever? Why do you think that? Why do you not like a certain character's arcs? Why do you have this opinion? Are you able to justify it, right? So when he says, you know, back in the day, you know, the weeaboos, they kind of ingratiated themselves a little bit, but they still were able to come to a conclusion with information, right? Why did they think that way? You know, why did they think Sasuke was just an edgy, irredeemable jerk, right? And then obviously, sure, we can have a conversation about child soldiers, childhood trauma, you know, being unable to really love, being driven by hatred. Like, sure, there's definitely commentaries we can draw from it, right? But I mean, there's people who would just view like Sasuke as just a irrelevant character, right? Like, why does edgy boy exist, right? And it's like, okay, like, how did you come to that conclusion? Why do you think that way? Having that least bit of self-reflection to be like, why do I think this? Now, to clarify, and this is a problem I myself suffer with, the expectation is never for someone to be able to respond with like full paragraphs or essays, right? As this video literally showcases, I can tell you why I think certain things. I can provide examples all day. It's why my retention metrics suck. But like, that should never be the explanation, or it should never be the expectation of providing essay-level responses. I could provide you essay-level responses on things, absolutely, but like, that's not normal, and that's not fair to ask of people, right? Why do you like Grey Knights? Well, they're knights in space. That's why I like them. They do funny psychic things. Cool, awesome. Why do you like Grey Knights? Proceeds to list every... What was the meme? Your son doesn't look autistic? Oh, I'm sorry, Timmy. Would you care to do one autism for the lady? And to everyone's horror, he listed every single train known to man, right? Like that. Like, and to everyone's horror, you have now listed every single codex change and rule for Grey Knights, going back through whenever their debut edition was, right? Like, yeah, absolutely, someone can respond that way. You, dear person, I think you're cool. Or even something as simple as like, Kip, why do you like Code Geass? I like it. Dude, I could tell you reasons, but just on authority, I like it. I found great enjoyment in the series and watch it regularly, right? Sometimes it can be simple. You know, as long as you understand why you have an opinion, that's what matters. How did you come to that conclusion? More people need to really do that in all matter of life, like all aspects of their life.
At the same time, we took our time to appreciate the medium for what it is, the art for what it is. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how you view it or not, it is an art. And much like any art medium, there's a history behind it, there is a culture behind it, and it takes a lot of time to like get your foot really into that realm. I mean, fuck, I've been making anime content online now for over a decade, and I still go out and want to learn more about the medium and you know, learn about how it came to be and what it will become. Because yes, even though there are a lot of shows in the medium that I absolutely love and some that I absolutely despise,
and
a lot that I still haven't seen yet, I want to know more about the medium, and I love the medium for what it is. And if you are one of those people who don't appreciate the medium, don't understand the medium, don't give a shit about the history, don't give a shit about the cultural significance of all of this, maybe don't make a tier list video trying to dissect every single anime.
I mean, yeah. I mean, all in all, like, you generally want to back up your opinions with something, right? Generally, you want to be able to be like, yes, once again, this is why I came to these conclusions. And if you don't, like, why? I mean, yes, everyone's allowed to have an opinion, sure, right? I get that. But, like, come on, man. Like, if you don't enjoy it, why engage with it? Oh, well, metrics or something. I feel like I wanted to do it. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's infinitely better things you could be doing with your time if that makes complete sense. I was gonna see if this actually hit an hour and 30 naturally. We got close. I wasn't even really pushing for it, if I'm being honest. I was just like, huh, we're almost at an hour. We're almost at 90 minutes for this. So I thought this was great. I thought this was honestly amazing. I don't remember ever seeing this man online. I'm sure I did, maybe once upon a time. Maybe I watched one of his videos. Kind of like how I remember like Dash Star, now Dark Lord Dash, right? And he has a new Star Wars channel, right? So it's kind of cool to see some older YouTubers that I may or may not have run into in the past, just watching their content, right? Not any like, oh, hey, I've never talked to this man. But honestly, he brings a lot of good points to the table, and I thought that this was a very good video. So, I thought this was very thought-provoking. I thought that there was a lot to this. I thought it brought a lot of very good faith points to the table, and I thought it was honestly just a really good discussion that I think a lot more people need to have, and a lot more people need to be cognizant about. So thank you, everyone, for bearing with me for almost an hour and a half at this point. Thank you, Joey Bizinger, for putting out an honestly amazing video, and honestly just being very respectful, very professional, and very knowledgeable about the subject. I thought this was amazing. Hopefully you did as well, and I will see you all in the next one. And as I said, last point, as I said before, this was a Patreon submission, so one of those that I do on the weekly, because those who actually subscribe over on Patreon do get to send me a thing within reason, right? Reasonable length, right? And then I will react to the thing. So thank you everyone for watching.